And welcome to. I'm here today with my wonderful partner and co-director of Awakenings Institute, Dr. Phillip Mountrose. It's another very exciting week around here. I guess in the United States, it's been an encouraging week, and we feel here very good that we were keeping our spirits up and didn't allow all of the things that were going on to disturb us. I'm just checking here to get the notes set up. Okay. So this week we're going to focus on surrendering to the moment. It's been actually a beautiful theme for me this week, which I'll describe as we go on here. And we're blessed today also to invite with us Ascended Master Dwal Kul. He's going to join us and support us as we open to the benefits of surrendering to the moment and what this can mean in our lives. So before we begin, I want to thank you, of course, as always, for joining us and being a being of light and love for the world. It really is making a difference. I believe it is. And we're here every week at this time to light up our own lives and to heal, to grow, and to stand as beacons of light for the world. So I also want to remind anyone who's here with us live to say hi and tell us where you're from. We love to hear from you. And before we start, I'm going to do something a little different this time. I'd like to invite Dwal Kul to join us, and we can just invite him. Maybe I can say a few words about him just to give you a reference point. This is from the Keepers of the Light Oracle, and Philip will be showing the picture of him in a little bit too.
Want me to show it now?
Actually, you could. That might be a nice thing to do. There he is. Something about these cards that I think is really amazing is when you look into the eyes of the being here at Dwal Kul, it feels like you're really connecting with him. That's what I feel, at least. And he has such a beautiful, beautiful vibration. So it says Dwal Kul, known as the Tibetan, is a Tibetan Buddhist master. He is said to have had many incarnations, including as a devotee of Buddha himself and as one of the three wise men who honored the baby Jesus. Through his earthly experiences, he has learned the importance of spiritual practice and disciplines and knows that the path we are on unfolds over time. He is now helping light workers to follow their dharma, which is a Sanskrit word meaning the right way of living. So we can just focus on that beautiful image and invite Dwal Kul to be with us now. And just feel that light. Something about the energetic signatures of all of the masters and the archangels also, and other beings of light, is that they are supportive of us just by being in them, which is why I wanted to invite him to be with us now as we open to this topic. And so with that, Philip, would you like to start us off by sharing a little bit about your feelings on surrendering to the moment?
Well, at a certain point, you realize things are going to happen, and you can only do so much. There's some things you can control. Basically, your internal world, your responses to what's happening in the external world, what you're thinking, and what you're thinking does ripple out and create things too. But a lot of things are coming because the world's so complex. If you think of your thoughts, well, how many thoughts are happening with the other 8 billion people in the world? So there's a lot happening, and that is affecting us. And so at a certain point, you can do what you can, and that's part of it too. And you feel like I've done everything I can. And yet there are certain things which you need to accept. And some of those may be very difficult and challenging and things you would not prefer to happen.
Right.
But once you surrender to it, it gives you an inner peace, letting go and being in the moment. And from there, there's a lot of possibilities where when you're fighting them, you've actually shut off any hope of changing or gaining insight or peace if you're resisting what is. And at the same time, as I said, you still want to stand up for justice and claim your space and do what you can. But once you've done what you can and you know the difference of what you can and cannot do, you feel that surrender and inner peace.
Mm-hmm. Right. And of course, you have the opportunity to focus on whatever you want in the moment. I want to mention that Babs is with us. So hi, Babs. It's wonderful to see you too again today. I think inner peace is one of the aspects of the vibration of dwell cool, which I really appreciate. And it just focusing on that sense of inner peace brings us more into the present moment. The thing that happened to me this week that really was interesting was there was we had a big storm here on Monday, later in the day on Monday night, and occasionally this hasn't happened to me for years, but but this time it caused me to have a severe case of vertigo, which is a condition generally in the inner ear, and it just causes it can cause severe dizziness and inability really to get around hardly at all, which is what happened to me. And I had a lot of things planned for this week, as I usually do. So I had to surrender to what was actually occurring. And it really did create a wonderful state of peace within me. It was also during this time that, using this oracle, I mentioned this card was from the Keepers of the Light Oracle, which has a lot of different ascended beings in it. And I drew the Dwell Cool card. And his energy just felt so beautiful to me. It says on the card, remember that you are on a path. Take one step at a time to happiness. And that was another aspect of it that I felt was profound, is something we work with actually in our lives. We have a big picture of where we're going, but generally our focus is on just one step, which really simplifies things. And I appreciated that so much. Nikki is here too. Hi, Nikki. She said, I needed to hear this, struggling with a hip replacement. Being in the moment and being at peace with it is a great reminder. Yeah, I can see that. And that's the thing, that sometimes I think things like that happen to us to provide us with the opportunity to recognize that really our point of power is in the moment, and just whatever is happening at the moment is really the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is it's been a beautiful, I would say, lesson for me, for sure.
Yeah,
a reminder.
A powerful experience.
Right.
And I had one when I had a biopsy on my throat. They were checking if there was anything cancerous there about a year ago. Anyways, if any people have had that, a biopsy is they take a needle and take some skin out to check the condition of the cells in the skin. But this is now in your throat, which is a very sensitive area, obviously putting needles there, which I don't like anyways, like many people. And so the lady who's doing it, I'm figuring, hey, she must know what she's doing, right? And so she comes in and she pokes the needle in, which is very uncomfortable. And she said, oh, didn't get it that time. I go, okay, whatever, the right sample. And then she did it actually several more times. I think she did a total of 4 or 5 times poking this needle. And I didn't even know, I kind of had thoughts, maybe this is it. I don't know what's going on now. Someone's poking a needle in your neck. And the words came, and this is the surrendering part of the story. You're in God's hands now. The angels told me you're in God's hands now. Not that I felt like I was probably going to die, but it was a good rehearsal. And the dying in this life, we've done it many times in other lives, even though we tend to forget that. But, at a certain point that happens, and it is a time for ultimate surrender and peace.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it is, I think, a good reminder of one step at a time, too. I see Sharon's here. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you, too. I wanted to read a little more of the Dwell Cool message, too. It says, when Dwal Kul appears in a reading, he reminds you that your path is unfolding as it should. Take one step at a time and remember that your only spiritual function is to be happy. You are a powerful person with many lessons under your belt and a real capacity to share your wisdom with the world. Take the time to go over what you have learned recently. Recognize the strengths it has brought you and acknowledge where there's Buddy, where you have been courageous. While Kul is now working with your angel guides to help your journey unfold like a beautiful lotus flower, one petal at a time. Yeah, there he is again.
I turned into a cool.
Yeah. And it is, I just, those images, they really speak to me. I think I've had this card on my desk here for about 3 or 4 days now, and I just keep looking at it and feel so enriched by it.
Mm-hmm.
Really beautiful.
Yeah, he's a lot about Dwal Kul, the master, ascended master. He actually just historically was behind Madame Blavatsky, colorful name in the 1800s, her famous book, The Secret Doctrine. So he channeled that, and then in the early 1900s with Alice Bailey, I think it was 20 some odd books.
That's a
Were
lot.
channeled by Dwal Kul in this, and becoming a disciple of these higher paths and wisdoms of the spiritual hierarchy, which are directly affecting us here on earth, and pathways and messages on how to especially purify yourself, not in a what's the word, dogmatic, really rigid way, but just in a way of opening your heart and seeing, you know, where you're kind of blocked, and to get hold there, and to send more love there, and so that can ripple out to the world as you're more in a more loving place yourself.
Right. Right. It is. I think we're our own state is probably the best thing that we can do for the world, meaning when we are in that place of what Dwal Kul they were saying, happiness or joy, love, inner peace. Those are the solution. And when we're in that place, that's what we're vibrating out to the world. And then for us personally, everything feels different. And in a way, you could say, it seems like things start feeling like they are synchronous, like everything is okay in the moment and they're going to take care of themselves. I know that physical ailments often are big life changers, and I had one of, well, it was probably 5 years ago by now, quite a while ago, where I ended up in the hospital with a heart condition, and it really did change me. It made me feel, I think afterwards, I think I just felt much more on track in a way. Like a lot of because you surrender and let go of all of the things that are not your next step, just with my next step being, well, now I'm going to actually survive and recover. It just really changes you. So whatever way we can approach that to do that, and we can invite Dwal Kul to be with us and help us to be in that place of understanding that we only have to focus on our next step. We can just be here now. We can be happy. We can focus on our next step. It's like I was thinking about it this morning, like a heavenly prescription.
Heaven on earth.
To just let go of so much of that stuff that keeps us stuck, when actually the moment, generally, if you just kind of sit down and breathe a little bit, the moment usually is pretty simple. It's all the stuff that we pile onto it that makes it so complicated.
Yeah, and if you want, I can share a direct message from him at some point too.
I'd love that. You can. Is now a good time, or
sure?
If you want.
Now is the simple moment in which we can access Master Dwal Kul, sometimes called Master DK, the Tibetan master, in the higher realms, to directly share with us now.
Right.
Okay, so Dwal Kul coming through. We are one with you, and you are one too. And as we merge our oneness, beauty arises and emerges like a wonderful flower or lotus from this muddy stream of life. And out of the mud comes much beauty and life. And that turmoil and turbulence, which your everyday life is also often involved in, can be a source and a resource for you to find the inner light to shine in you and then cast out into the world. And that light will light your path and others' path into a wonderful world of more harmony, peace, and love, which is available to all now and in every moment.
Wow, that's beautiful. It seems true. It just being there and being open to receiving messages like that. And we'll be doing a meditation in a little bit with Dwell Cool. So everybody will have that opportunity then too. It opens your mind and your heart to a greater understanding of who you are, who we are and why we're here. And more of I think a sense of trust in the divine. I see Babs said she just had leg surgery too. And those kinds of things, if you can actually take advantage of them to be more present to them and make them, they can become life altering experiences in a positive way. That also awakens our creativity when we're in that kind of peaceful place in the moment, knowing that all we have to focus on is this next step. We can have that big picture set, like Phillip said. We want to have a sense of, well, this is kind of my intention overall, and now this is all I need to be concerned about in this moment. It's really special, which is odd. It can be odd. I felt that way with the vertigo, that once I just let go, it was okay. And actually, it was around then that it started getting better too. We actually, there are solutions for it, and I think we were doing it a little wrong. So it was getting worse instead of better for a few days. But then it turned around and actually it very quickly seemed to correct itself. I'm pretty much back to normal.
We did an Epley maneuver, which you can look up on the internet too. Yeah, for
that was
dizziness.
Interesting. On the class that we teach, we have twice a week. On Thursday, I was talking about it, and I asked, well, how many other people have had this? And actually quite a few people by percentage. And talking to people also, just people I had to talk to and mention, well, I wasn't able to do this week because of this or whatever. I ran into another one who had just recently had it too. So it's actually pretty common. It's also just life altering from the perspective that when it happens, you can't do much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, we still are creators, and whatever is happening, we can find the good in it and be focusing on the outcome that we're expecting, that we're intending to create from it. I think that's another aspect of it, is opening that creative force within ourselves and realizing that our focus, whatever it is very important. And then if you transfer that to our focus for the world, we can see that we have something to give, all of us. The dogs oh, stop, you get down. They're kind of fighting over who's going to be in my lap. So we're going to ban both of them. No. They've been very lively the last couple of days. I'm not sure exactly what it is, something probably astrological. When we're more aware, another thing that came to mind thinking about it is that this is our opportunity when we actually stop enough to look at what's really happening and what our options are. This is when we have an opportunity to be discerning about our lives, rather than being in a momentum and just putting out fires, or like, I have to do this and then, which is so much, I think, really built into our societal structure these days. when we can actually be discerning and thoughtful,
Mm-hmm.
be present in our thinking to what our options are and where we're going and what's in this now moment for us.
Right. So many of the people in the circle watching this live or in review are very dedicated or intent on making the world a better place, which of course is part of your own mission of making yourself a better person. And what does get in the way, as Jane was alluding to, is this busyness and distraction. And a lot of people have a lot of things on their plate. They have jobs, family, and things, bills to pay, and so forth. And that is part of it. But just to at least create some space and time and healthy routines to reflect and go within and know what's important, what your priorities are, so things don't slip by and distractions and the day ends and what happened. It was a blur.
Right. Right. Yeah. Um, we have another couple comments from Bab. She said Purple Lotus, which is, she's actually a part of Awakenings Institute. She has her own circle within it. And she says, Purple Lotus Collective's tagline is beauty from the mud. Thank you, Dwell Cool and Phillip for channeling.
Yeah, her organization is Purple Lotus.
Yes. Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? It is. It's true that in the mud, there are so many forces that are trying to distract us from the truth and what we know is good for ourselves in the depths of our heart. And of course, from there, what's good for humanity. It's really up to us to be in the right state to be able to open to what's possible for us.
Mm,
And being in the mud
right.
is not, it's interesting because I think Babs knows we do the mud to mountaintop visualization a lot, which we do in the circle. We do it quite often in the circle, and we always start in the mud. It's a really great metaphor, I think, for wallowing in the mud with the masses of humanity. Very powerful. It feels beautiful. It's interesting too. Sometimes I feel like my head is so full of thoughts, and when I invite a being like Dwell Cool to be with me, just be in this space with him, my mind feels very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of nice just to be there with it. I wanted to mention also along with when I draw, right now I'm drawing cards from the Keepers of the Light Oracle to identify a master to invite to share with me. Along with that, I'm also drawing a significator card, which is a significator card is a card that gives more meaning to whatever the reading is about. And so when I drew the one for Dwell Cool, I actually ended up with two cards, and I'm drawing from the Major Arcana, and this is the Angel Wisdom Tarot. And when I first drew them, I couldn't figure out what is the connection here. And the first one is number 15, which is ego. There's a struggle going on there. And it says, the illusion of being trapped. Accept responsibility for your situation and then make choices that support your path to happiness. And after reading about Dwell Cool and all you have to do is be happy, I thought, that's interesting that I would get that. And the second one is actually the final card in the Major Arcana, which is called the World in the Angel Wisdom Tarot. And that's Archangel Jophiel, that beautiful angel there. It says, a brilliant success, a time of joyful accomplishment and spiritual enlightenment, freedom to do whatever you want. And I thought, gee, that's kind of the transformation that's possible when we just let go of all of the stuff that's going on in the mud and invite a being of light like this to join us, what's possible for us. And we're at a time now, a time when the message that I got, and this was now several years ago, I guess, or at least a year and a half ago, that it was time to make sure that we were accessing all of our resources. These beings of light, our family of light, the masters and angels and all of these beautiful beings who are around us to support us, if we're not taking advantage of them, we may be missing something. And I really feel understanding with something like connecting with Dwell Cool this week. It's enhancing my life so much to connect with these beautiful beings. And there are many. I think that for each of us, we're actually going to do a course on this coming up at the beginning of the year on connecting with your family of light, because it's so important. And for each of us, there are some who are particularly special. And I've been feeling, for me in particular, that Dwell Cool now is one of those. Every time I look into his eyes, like seeing him there now, it just really, it reaches me in some kind of a very deep way. And in the Keepers of the Light, this is, I think, a great way to do it with the Keepers of the Light Oracle. The cards are really profound. So I guess we might be, do you feel like we're about ready for the meditation, or did you have
Yes.
anything else to add? Okay.
Time for the meditation.
Okay. So we can start as usual. If you're in a place where it's possible just to close your eyes and invite in your family of light and Dwell Cool to be here with you. These, especially the archangels and the ascended masters, we have guardian angels who are always with us. And I think there are many other angels around us too, who are supporting us. The archangels and the ascended masters are here waiting for us to invite them into our lives. So you can invite your family of light and Dwell Cool to be with you now. Just breathing and relaxing, letting go of anything you don't need in this moment. As you exhale, just breathing in the light, breathing in more of it, and then releasing with the exhale. And something Philip and I have been talking about this week also that is really important is to clear our space of energy that is not our own. So you can ask any energy that is not your own from other people, other places, other times. Ask it to just go back where it came from so you can be in your own space with your own energy. Just send it back now. You might feel more present in your body. In similar ways, we leave little bits of ourselves in other times and other places. So you can just ask any of your own energy that's ready to come back to you now to come back into your space. And you might feel it. I always feel this energy coming in. I don't know what it is, but it feels good. And then just notice how present you feel now compared to when we started. And especially before we started this morning. And again, I want to just reiterate how wonderful Dwell Cool is. I read some more about him on the internet, which I'm going to read. He is considered to be one of the great masters. There are different masters out there, and they're all great. But there are some who are particularly engaged with us as light workers and with the ascension, and he is one. It says, Master Dwell Cool is a great teacher and mentor who has a vast knowledge of all the mysteries of the universe. He is known as the teacher's teacher, and as such, he oversees all aspects of teaching and education. In this role, he opens us to the deeper mysteries of life and the universe. He helps us to identify obstacles and blocks along our paths and supports us in discovering how to overcome them by guiding us to realize that we are now responsible for our own actions and all that happens to us, thus empowering us to act and react with wisdom. This makes us masters of our own destinies, in control of our own lives, and creating our own realities. So with that, then you can also now imagine, this is something I really love to do too. It's like Jack and the Beanstalk, just allowing yourself, excuse me, to rise up through the clouds, through the atmosphere. And the way I interpret that is you're rising up above the hold of the mass consciousness. And when you get above the clouds, you have this magnificent view of the whole universe around you, all of the star systems, the sun, the central sun that shines the light of, actually the nurturing light of life down upon us. And just feel that magnificence. And from this place, just it's an opportunity to reflect a little bit on the kinds of things that get you stuck, that cause you to go into overwhelm or confusion or anxiety. Because now in this moment, we have Dwell Cool here with us, and we have the light of the sun. We can ask that sun to shine down on us, pouring more illumination towards us. And again, this might be a good time, as I mentioned earlier, to ask Dwell Cool if he has a message for you, recognizing that this is an opportunity to move more freely, peacefully, lovingly, and joyfully forward. So just listen if he has anything that he can offer to you in this moment. Or he may have a message for all of us that you can share when we're done. And he also is, you could say that he's here to help us on our path. So you can, with him support, just imagine him walking with you down the path to a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful future, with an abundance of whatever it is that your heart is longing for. And just feel the joy and happiness, that peaceful sense of being in the right place at the right time, wherever you are. In every moment, each of us is in the perfect place to take our next steps. And what Dwalkul said to me when I asked for a message is that we are all love. And we are beautiful beings deserving of all the good that the heavens have to offer. And the heavens are here to help us, including him. And of course, if you then take this vision for yourself and just imagine the whole world receiving this energy, this inner peace, joy, love. Just imagine it all around the world. Again, we are powerful creators. That's what we're here for. We're here to create a different future for humanity. And when you see that world, the more peaceful, more loving, more joyful world, how does that feel? And what does it look like? How do the people of the world look? What about all the other beings in the world? And the earth itself, the waters of the world, the endangered species, the lands, And with this vision, we can again come back together. I always want to remind myself that I don't have to close any doors. Some people say, well, now you can close the door to this and come back to your normal waking state. I'd like to come back to my normal waking state in an elevated way with a clearer vision of where I'm going and what I'm wanting to create. So then just imagining yourself drifting beautifully with the support of these beings of light down into your seat, feeling fully grounded into the earth. And you may notice if you send love to the earth in gratitude, it comes right back to you and fills you with even more love. And then just breathing in more active energy, coming back vibrationally into a more normal waking state. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I do want to thank Dwal Kul for being with us and providing this opportunity for us. I see there's someone here named Julie Kiss. So she says, hi, happy Sunday. Same to you, Julie, and thank you for joining us. Bab says, joy seems to be a common theme through all three. I'm not sure what the three were exactly, but so that was a little while ago, but that's good. And Sharon Williamson said she drew the world card yesterday. Interesting. Yeah. And Julie says, beautiful. It does feel beautiful. And this is also, I would hope, my hope for all of us by being here together on each Sunday is that we help to lift each other into a more joyful and peaceful and loving place. And of course, Buddy's usually here too, unless Philip takes him for a ride. Oh, Bud. He loves the energy. You can see he's kind of settled into it now. Aren't you? Yes, you're such a good boy. That's a good boy. Okay, so any thoughts, Philip?
No, just Dwal Kul also mentioned about freedom is where when you surrender in the moment, you actually become free, which is interesting because one of the ways we resist is because we feel like we're not free. We feel we're hemmed in and repressed. But when we let go, that's where our freedom lies and begins and never ends.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, things are not as they seem. When you look at them from a different perspective, they're very different. Oh, Bud, why don't you go down for a little while? That's a good boy. Okay, so I guess we sent our love out to the world already. And I don't see any more. Well, Julie says hi to you, buddy. He's back. It feels like we're done.
Yep.
So with that, also, we just want to share a little bit about what's happening with us at Awakenings Institute. Do you want to share anything?
Well, I wanted to remind people of a really good free gift that they haven't gotten it, the light worker and spiritual healer kit with the loving power of your soul book, excerpt, aliveness checklist. It's a powerful coaching tool, and a Happy Tap Holistic EFT video in our newsletter. And that's at tinyurl.com/spiritual-kit, tinyurl.com/spiritual-kit. Yeah.
Wonderful. I was going to look, let me see. I thought there was something in the messages here I wanted to share. Let me see. Bab says, staying in the flow is the most peaceful, joyful place I know. It is. One of the phrases I like to say to myself during the day is, I'm in the flow with joy and ease. It's actually a wonderful, just simple message to give to yourself. I'm in the flow now with joy and ease. And actually having the intention for things to go easily does seem to have some kind of an effect. It actually seems to work. So I'm pleased with that too. We also, as we mentioned every week, we completed recently an ebook called The Solution. Make a difference and change the world with the power of love. A little ebook that is free to the world. And the purpose of it is to share with your friends, to let people know really how important and how life-changing love is, and how beneficial it is in so many different ways. And you can access that at tinyurl.com/444. That's the number 4, 3 times, 444-solution. So please share that if you have an opportunity. You can find out also a little more about the Circle at circleofloveandlight.org. And if you want to support the Circle, we appreciate it if you like our page. If you have friends, you can share this video with your friends on Facebook. And you can also invite your friends to join you in the Circle and then share that experience together. So thank you again for being with us. Have a wonderful week. Oh, there's one last thing. And the last thing I usually do is send that love, that peace, that joy forward through your week ahead. And know that any moment you can focus on it during the week and it's here for you. So have a wonderful week. Bye-bye, everybody.